This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Mission 250.
All right, guys, we're watching Return of the King. This movie was number 8 when we froze the list back in 2016. It is now number 6, according to IMDb, so it's jumped 2 spots. When this movie came out, it made $1.15 billion at the box office, which at the time was the second highest grossing movie ever made, right behind Titanic. Right now, it's still number 32, which is pretty high still, considering all the Marvel movies and Disney movies that have come out in the past 23 years. It was tied for the most Oscars ever won, with Ben-Hur and Titanic at 11 Oscars, and it was the only movie of those 3 to win every single category that it won. So record-setting there and record-holding there.
Wow.
TC has never seen this trilogy before, and this is the third one. I am worried. He was medium on both, at best. Now we're watching the last one. It's longer. So we're doing 20-second spoiler-free reviews, starting with TC. How did it end for you, TC?
I mean, I guess it wrapped it up in a neat little bow. I wasn't expecting him to be the king. I would say that it didn't stick with me, put it that way. I did think some of the stuff, looks pretty cool with the dead people, the dead army. I don't know. Yeah, I'm mediocre still. So,
nothing snagged you and dragged you along. You were just flat throughout the trilogy.
Right.
Yeah. John, what do you got?
Yeah, I in seeing this again after a while, I think this is the weakest of the 3 and didn't have nearly as good of an intro as the other 2. Had some really cool moments. I really hate how the whole Denethor thing is handled, and that's not how it's done in the book. And the whole eating scene is just a really wrong turn in my mind. But still some pretty cool battle scenes, a whole bunch of endings that get kind of tiring. But the book also has a ton of different long endings too. So we can talk about that. But yeah, it's weaker than I thought it was. I thought this was the really good one.
Yeah, so my 20 seconds. I thought this was going to be worse than it was. I liked it a lot more than I remembered it. The acting is kind of all over. It's more all over the place. There's more parts that I don't like, but there are more really good parts that are kind of more memorable, at least in the Two Towers. And I really like the music is back. The music and the horror elements are back in this one, and I really like that compared to the Two Towers as well. So I'm not going to stop watching these anytime soon. If that's
you are a super fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than these movies. They're ridiculously good. They transport me. Yeah, my 20 seconds is over. Transport me to a different place. It's good stuff.
That's good.
So what's wrong with the intro, John?
Yeah.
Intro's great.
I still think that battle, the battle scene is really transporting towards the end there. There's that sort of not the very last of the film, but before you get there, all of that is just really, really well done. About the last, I don't know, the last third or the 3/4 in. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know when that is.
In the middle of the 2-hour-long battle scene in the middle of this movie.
Yeah, I know. I think maybe at the time it was pretty cool to be like, oh yeah, this is Gollum's origin. That's a great way to start because you hadn't seen it. But I don't know. It didn't catch me up in the way that I kind of wanted to be. Like the way the first 2 ones felt so orchestrated and carefully done to put me in a place where I'm back and rolling with the film. And so I was excited thinking, oh man, they seem to put so much thought and work into that. And so I was kind of excited, and instead it just was more like, here's a prequel.
To your credit, it was a deleted scene from the Two Towers version of the movie. They were planning on putting it in there as a transition, as a backstory.
See? Yeah. It wasn't even this well thought out. How are we going to intro this movie? Which those other 2 clearly felt like that. It felt like those other 2, they crafted something that was going to be the beginning of each film.
But it brings the ring back into focus because the ring isn't really in focus in the Two Towers at all. Yeah, and this one is fine. It's still about the ring, guys. Check it out. Remember Gollum? He's important.
Fine.
He still looks weird as a human.
He does.
Yep.
Still does.
Sure does.
But it
sounds fucked up too.
Yeah.
He didn't really change his voice that much.
Oh, like when they actually had him.
Yeah, when he's the river person, he still sounds all fucked up.
He's still Gollum-y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my birthday and I want it. Okay, buddy. Whatever you say, my little river friend. Yeah, I don't know. This movie, has some really stupid parts, and I can't say that about either of the other two. I think the Fellowship is like flawless from my perspective. Two Towers is a little slow and a little dark, but it's still pretty outstanding.
And
then
a little hard to organize just because you got all this branching.
The pacing is a little choppy. But this one has a couple parts where I'm just like, what the fuck? That's stupid. The two that really stand out to me are like the Rohan king, what's his name? Theoden. No, Theoden. That's the Gondorian. Gondorian
right.
steward, John.
Gondorian, I got you. Excuse me.
So Theoden, they need help. They're like, Gandalf's like, they're about to attack Minas Tirith. We as Rohanians or whatever the fuck should go save them. And Theoden's like, fuck that. They didn't help us during the Battle of Helm's Deep. And then about an hour later, they light all the bonfires, which, by the way, looks fucking amazing when it all the scenery shots of it flying around with the music is pretty damn epic. But then he says yes. That's the same thing as before. Why did he change his mind?
Because they lit the bonfires. They lit the bonfires, you gotta go.
It's more serious when you light the bonfires, I guess.
Lit the bonfires, you gotta go to war. You gotta do it.
I thought that was pretty stupid. There was nothing. But when freaking Eowyn kills the Lich King, and he's like, wait a minute. You can't, I'm not allowed to be killed by a man. And she's like, I'm not a man, or I am no man, or whatever the fuck. You're just like, wait a minute. It's written as man, and you're gonna kill him on a technicality on this one? That's fucking stupid too.
I mean,
but with those two things,
had a good moment, right?
I don't know. With those two things said, there are so many scenes where the emotion portion of it, for me at least, works really, really well. And if it wasn't as well put together, or if the stakes weren't too high, or if the acting wasn't so incredible in this one, then it would have seemed really cheesy. And I can see if you're not into it, it might seem really cheesy. But if you are, I don't know, TC, what did you think when Frodo turned Sam home? Did you care at all in that scene? No. I can't even imagine
I was screwed for this one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
John, I don't know. What do you think about that one?
No, I care. I still care about that stuff. It's still well acted. I still am into it there.
But they did it in a way where you knew he was coming back.
Right, that's fair, I guess. But yeah.
Suspend your disbelief, TC. Try not to think ahead.
I don't
Just
know.
experience the movie.
It was he's going to say goodbye. Sure. They went all this way, and then at the fucking last hour, he's going to go all the way home and just be like, well, he told me to. Yeah, okay. Get out of here. No.
Fair point.
That's fair.
That's what I was thinking.
What did you think about the spider scene, TC?
That one was fucked up, man. When he got him underneath, I was not having a good time. And you knew it was coming behind him, and it's just we know he doesn't. This sucks. It's a spider. Not a huge fan. And then it gets him right in the stomach.
Yeah.
That was
the silence of it, the way it moves.
Something. Yeah,
holds up really well.
The CG is noticeably better, and I don't know if you guys had noticed that, but I thought the CG looked a lot better in this one than the Two Towers.
Yeah,
even Gollum looked a lot better.
I can see it a little bit. Not. I mean, again, the spider scene was really well done. The large battle scenes were quite impressive. But I thought, even with the Two Towers, I don't know. Maybe it seems more highly rendered or something or whatever, the higher resolution or whatever. But the Two Towers scenes still were more impressive to me in terms of the orchestrated battle sequences and the just sort of the scale of it, along with the building and all of that stuff. I think was still more impressive, even if it wasn't as high as fidelity, or they're pushing the technology further this time, or had more money. I don't know what. I'm sure you'll tell us.
Same amount of money, less time, more effect shots.
Just
so it's
better at it.
Fellowship of the Ring had 500 effect shots. Two Towers had 790, and this one had nearly 1,500.
Wow!
And they were finishing things. The last reel of film went a couple days before the premiere in Wellington, New Zealand.
Nice.
So they were working on everything till the end, and everyone was going crazy because Peter kept adding shots. They were already crunched, and he's just like, and do this, and do this.
Right. And it feels. Parts of it are just sort of it moves along and you're left hanging. It doesn't feel really stitched together well. There's there's the Palantir, the seeing orb, which has a big part to play in the books, but it's just sort of there and then it's gone. We've forgotten about it. We don't care about that anymore. I just kind of feels like we kind of jump around a little bit. It feels
Disagree.
less
The whole point, him
polished.
splitting the two hobbits up is because of that orb.
Yeah.
Like, even though you don't see it again, it's the reason that they're split up the entire time, and why one is, in Minas Tirith, the other one's riding with the Rohanians or
I guess that's
Rohirrim or
fair.
whatever.
Right.
It's a pretty large thing. And also, there was a scene, if you watch the extended version, of how it gets there. And it's
Right.
there's this whole long, it's like a 10-minute long scene at the very beginning of the movie where they're talking to Saruman, and he's up at the top of the tower, and Gandalf's kind of talking to Saruman, and then Gandalf burns Saruman's staff out of his hands, and then Wormtongue comes up from behind him and stabs him in the back, and Saruman flies off the tower, gets impaled by a wheel spike, and then the thing shows rolling out and going in the water,
Right.
and that's
And that's
when
how
Pippin sees it. So it's a lot more linear that way, but it's a huge long scene at the beginning of the movie, and it just makes the extended version of this movie, particularly the hardest one to get through, because it's there's so much shit, and they filmed all of it. So maybe you could watch that one. Maybe you'd like it more, John.
Maybe. It just felt, I don't know. It just felt like things were kind of jerked around a little bit. I don't know. This one didn't hold me as much. I just didn't seem as seamless. I don't know. And even the Two Towers was hard to follow just because of all the different storylines, but it seemed still better put together.
Mm-hmm.
Even so, this one didn't seem as well put together.
Yeah.
And to me, it would explain it if what they were doing is rushing against a deadline and not getting it done when they wanted to say it was done.
And there's kind of 5 threads in this one, as opposed to 3 in the Two Towers and 1 in the Fellowship. So it's it just keeps getting harder and harder to mix all of these things. And I actually thought the battle scenes in this kept the momentum up better than the Two Towers, because for me, at least, when they kept cutting to the Ent Moot part, that was just screeching to a halt with the battle scenes.
Right. Is there freaking trees just standing there? So
and
it's
at least
just
this
hard
one, it's kind of everyone is doing action-y stuff, right? You have Sam and Frodo climbing the mountains, pretty action-y and scary. You got
There's a sense of urgency there.
Yeah.
That was a little bit more noticeable.
Yeah.
But it still went on for 4 hours. So
Yep. It's only 320 TC. Come on,
Sure.
320. That's not
felt
bad.
like 4.
Yeah.
I mean, the action scenes were good. There's no doubt about it. It's just there's so many of them
Mm-hmm.
that after a while kind of loses its luster. But there is a sense of urgency still, because people are dying. So we know we're going, and he's getting closer, and people are dying more.
Yeah.
So there is at least the threads are all going towards one North Star. Even though, John, I totally agree with you, it jumps all over the place. But at least there is something we're going towards throughout.
Right.
And so I was able to sort of ignore that I was confused and just watch the battle scenes.
Yeah.
So
And the
I don't
battle
know.
scene is kind of confusing too, because I always think there's one big battle, but it's split into 2 parts, because they have these huge orc armies marching to Minas Tirith, and they fight, and then the Rohirrim or whatever, they show up and they destroy a bunch of the orcs, and they destroy the leader of the orcs, and it's they're going to win. But then all of a sudden it's oh no, wait, there's a whole bunch of fucking other people that are coming on elephants, and hey, guess what? The second half of this single battle is about to start, but it's going to be totally different.
It is, right.
And it's kind of a
some
weird
dead
thing.
Pirates
Yeah.
involved.
And-
So it's the Rohirrim save the first half of the battle, and then the dead pirates, dead soldiers, or whatever the fuck they are, save the second half. So it's there's kind of a get out of jail free card. They only used
because
it one
it's
time
still a
in Two
battle,
Towers.
but there's 2 new people,
Right.
and we're able to put it aside, but we're not,
Yeah.
because it still feels
It's it's like
Like
a
a
wrestling
battle.
match. It's like professional wrestling or something. It's
or a video
he's
game.
got him
Boss
on the
one
ropes.
defeated. Round
Right,
2.
right.
Here we
Yeah.
go. Bigger
Yeah.
elephants.
We had
Yeah.
Steve Austin and The Rock finish, and now we got
That's right.
Undertaker and Mankind coming, and they're about
That's
to jump
right.
off some shit, right?
He's got the chair now. He's down. Oh no, we thought he was winning,
That's
but now
right.
he's
Oh,
not
look,
winning.
the cage is up. Here we go. Right. But it's the same thing. Yeah. That's a good analogy, John.
Kind of had those. Also, the elephants were kind of like Imperial walkers. Sort of had that same
They
kind
were,
of feel
huh?
of I don't know. I mean, it was still pretty cool stuff. But I agree. Sort of the staging of the battle was sort of weird, because it's it did feel like it was rounds or levels almost, the way it was sort of set up.
But isn't that what battles are like, John? Aren't they rounds? Aren't they like
Don't
video
know.
games?
I don't know. It's like you go for an hour and somebody rings a bell and then everybody goes and has a snack. Right?
You gotta refresh, man. You gotta stay hydrated.
Refreshment.
It's busy work battling.
Everybody gets their orange, just like soccer.
Orange slices and a Gatorade, guys. Come on. One each. Hey, don't take two.
Hey, come on, Gandalf.
Right back.
But yeah, I don't.
There's a lot more shit talking than I was expecting on this movie. This movie is
I
fucking
think
awesome.
I think it is. I also
worn
dead
out.
tired. Yeah, I'm like worn out
From
watching
these
it.
ones.
I think there's all kinds of other things going on too that sort of like I just wasn't. I think it would have been nice to have a lot of time for this one, and that didn't work out either. And I just had to sort of cram it in, and so I kind of was unhappy about that. And that didn't
So an hour,
happen for
two
the
and a half,
earlier
you're like,
films.
and I need to do shit in
Right,
my house.
I have to go to bed. I have to like there are dishes right there. They're right there, Gandalf. But no, I just I don't know. But again, it's still really cool as a whole. Like seeing the third one, then you can also, which I think it's also probably why this one gets sort of so much more credit. Is it lets you then look at the whole three of the films and see what an accomplishment that was, and that's why it seems like, once you get to the third one, you've seen all of them at once and you're like, wow, or just in sequence, but seeing that as a whole, it's still really like friggin' impressive. But
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wrapped it up.
Yep.
I felt like I at least got some resolve.
and more resolve. Here's some more resolve.
And
Here.
then more resolve.
A lot of
And
characters
just
doing
another
it.
hour
A lot of
of it.
characters.
And
Yeah.
then,
Thanks,
No,
Peter.
but
I've had enough
But
resolve.
it could have been
No, more
worse, right? It
resolve.
could have just ended up like, oh, we had one storyline complete, and the rest of them were like, oh well, I mean, that happens all the time in some of these things. So, like you said, John, it is an impressive feat, and I do, I'm not glad I watched it, but I'm not upset that we had to watch it either. Now it's behind me, and I can never watch it again.
And you now can't say that you've never seen it, which is something you were kind of proudly doing for a decade.
Right, I was so proud before. I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not watching that shit. And then, here we are. Now I have to say, well, actually, I'm part of a podcast, and we watched it. And,
We did see those, yes.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What'd you think? I'm mediocre, just like I was on the podcast.
Please don't hit me.
Right.
Please don't hit me.
I
good
thought I
thing-
was watching Harry Potter. All right. I mean, I forgot multiple times still.
It's the inclusion of the fucking wizards, man. There's always got to be an old guy wizard in these things. It's all the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's really identical too. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I think that Ian McKellen's portrayal sets the standard for old guy wizard. So
a good
everything
point.
else feels like sort of a reflection of that after it because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so good.
That's true.
Yeah, he was better in this one too. I liked him. He seemed a lot less robotic in this one, and there actually seemed to be some. He had a good relationship with Pippin. I thought, like in Two Towers, when he got his mind wiped, he just seemed like a guy. He's like, oh, I'm just a random guy. I don't have any friends anymore. I'm pretty good at magic, but I'm very
confused.
impersonal.
He was sort of like, but that's kind of.
It makes sense in the story, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't like it as much as the
It's
Fellowship.
not fun to watch, right?
Where he's
Prefer
like,
when he's like riding on a horse, running upstairs. He's about to take on the army. That
Yeah.
kind of.
well,
shit. Yeah.
personally, I like the Gandalf the Grey the best with Stoner with lots of Hobbit friends. I mean, he's obviously the best version of himself in that one, in the first one. This one, though, I mean, he's still doing heroic things and being he reacts less like a robot in this one and more like a frustrated human being when he attacks Denethor and does some satisfying actions type of things. Yeah, he was much better. His little light spell thing was fucking cool. I liked the music a lot more in this one. The sound in this one was also up there with the Fellowship of the Ring, where I don't notice it as much in the Two Towers, but there's a few, even in the first scene when he's strangling his river folk buddy, they played a lot with, whether or not they were going to put music in there. And I always thought it was music, but that sound that they were putting in that scene came from the sound effects team. It was the sound effects portion of it, as opposed to the score. They played the score and the special effects of what they had, and they were trying to figure out a balance between the scary sound effects of what was supposed to be the ring calling for him, commanding him to strangle his friend, and a score on top of it. And after lots of playing around with it, they just got rid of the score entirely and then boosted the sound effects, which is all you hear.
That's awesome.
Which is cool. And they do that a lot in this movie where they cut what you would normally hear and just have a single note or a single sound like when Gandalf rides out to save the Gondor charge, the Osgiliath charge. You know what I'm talking about? Like they're being attacked, and Gandalf comes and shines a light at the Nazgul or whatever, and it's just like all the sound cuts, and it's just like a single note from a woman, as he shines the light.
Right.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Pippin
Why
when
do
Pippin
you
sings
do that all the time? Anyway, go
when
ahead.
the guy eats, you don't like that scene, John, when the guy's eating and Pippin sings?
I think it's terrible. It's a puppy kicking thing. It's like, yeah, of course of course you're going to hate this guy and it's disgusting. It just seems so ham-fisted that no, I don't like it all. I don't like the way they portray that character either as just being like, just hateful when in the book he is afraid and has lost hope. And that part of it is because he's been looking at the Palantir. And so basically Sauron has been twisting his mind and making him even more hopeless, even though, because he's supposed to be a wise ruler who's lost hope and is despairing. And instead we just get this hateful kind of like evil, almost like he's like the Emperor in Star Wars sort of performance in terms of just like straight out evil. And then, lots of lip smacking, gross eating sounds. Like it's just like, okay,
lots of eye and lip
know.
twitching. When he's really mad, his eyes and his lips twitch.
Like the grape, being crushed in his mouth. That's his son. What fuck? It just seems so like annoying, and it goes on for quite some time. And I don't want to listen to eating sounds. I don't think that's
Is that icky, John? You icked out on that scene.
It's an icky thing, and I don't like. It's an easy icky too. It's not like, oh, this is artful. No, fuck. It's just anybody can
Just
record
gross.
some eating sounds, and you're going to be grossed out by it. I don't.
Not as grossed out as you are on this one, John. You sound angry and grossed out. So in my book, they did their job.
It got
really,
you.
really
Oh,
well.
so it was
That's
effective.
true,
That's
actually.
right.
We
They
might
could have
have
been
you on that one,
He could have
John.
been torturing puppies realistically, and I would have been very upset about that too. So
And Joe,
good for them.
we've it's not kicking puppies by itself isn't necessarily bad. Take this in context. It's how you kick the puppies is what matters, right? As we've learned from many, many times, I think most recently we talked about how like dead children and Nosferatu, whatever, nobody cares. Dead children and the girl with the needle, most terrifying thing you've ever seen.
Right.
They're both
Fair,
kicking
fair.
puppies, but
Right,
one,
right.
it's the way you do it, right?
Okay, right. So I still just think I didn't like the treatment of the character. This seems like an easy thing to do. All right, we're gonna make gross food sounds, and we're gonna contrast it.
Check.
And I didn't like the idea of it, even if that's what's gonna get to me. It just didn't. It wasn't.
Okay,
scary.
we got there. There you go. You didn't like the idea of it. You didn't like it that they put it in there, but you're not actually shitting on how they did it.
Okay, fair enough.
Right?
Like if that's what they wanted to do, that's some of the best disgusting eating sounds you could ever go for, right? So
yes,
I guess
I
if that's
did
what
it.
you want to
There
say.
you go.
I did it,
And
John.
he got you to
Good.
say.
I hate the scene though. Wish it wasn't there. I hate the way that character's treated. It doesn't
That
make
sucks.
sense.
Yeah, I have
But-
nothing to compare it to as someone who didn't read the book. It sounds like that's totally what's.
No, he doesn't
Shaping
send.
your
I mean,
opinion
he
now.
does try to kill his. He does try to burn his son in the end in the book, but he doesn't send his son out to
Suicide mission.
in a no one and a suicide. Yeah, I am at a total loss for words tonight. So sorry.
I got you, John.
But,
Suicide
thank
mission.
you, man. You know more about this anyway, so it's good. But no, he doesn't do any of that, and there's a lot more talking about how he's got some really good speeches about the loss of hope. And
This is Denethor?
Denethor has some good speeches about where he's at in despair and how he almost hates the people that are still continuing to hope when he is certain that all is lost, and how that almost driving him to madness, but driving him to hate everything around him. And so people saying something like your son still lives or whatever, he's just like, fuck you. We're all dead. This is all, I have completely given up hope here. And I just thought it was far more interesting than again, and that's why I kind of hate he's just played up as just, he's just out of his mind, evil, hateful. And the eating scene, the way the whole arc for him is acted is here's somebody we're just going to despise. We're not going to have any sympathy for him or anything like that, really. And I don't
tough.
like that.
It's tough because in a movie form, I mean, there's a lot of depth that you would need to make that more different than Theoden having the exact same thing happen to him in the last movie, right? They're probably, since this is like a short form type of media, you can't just have I don't know. Like it just seems like they
You
want to
gotta
get it
make
out of the way
shortcuts.
because
You
he
gotta-
needs
you
to
gotta
be
make-
in there, but like they
No,
don't
no,
want to
he-
rehash the same shit of like Sauron's controlling him with all, you know.
All fine, but they could have then also just focused on his moment of despair instead, and not have to have him send his son to suicide mission. All of that could have been
Action
was
scene,
unnecessary.
John. Action scene. Come on.
Yeah, but they didn't even like do much of the action there. They didn't show the battle. They didn't show like the
Best editing award won right there, John, with the sound and the battles and the slow bring up of the score. Oh yeah, it's good.
Best food chewing goes to Return of the King.
This one was the grossest food chewing scene until we saw the substance. I think the substance with the shrimp might be
That
worse than the cherry
actually,
tomatoes.
But I agree. I agree. But I actually like that much better. I wasn't as like mad about the idea of it because it fit much better for the way the movie was. But yeah.
TC, got any opinions on cherry tomatoes and how you're supposed to eat them?
Yes.
Mouth closed,
No.
I say, right? You got to keep your mouth
sure.
closed.
You're supposed to slice them in half first. Really.
Yeah,
if
you
you really
really-
want to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
You get a nice knife and you just slice them in half. And
At the very least, you get to see how ripe they are. If they're like rock hard, you can throw them away. If they're like a soggy water balloon, also throw them away. You don't want either of those. And you certainly don't want to bite into the second one without knowing it's coming, because that's not fun. No one has fun when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah.
Big fan of heirloom tomatoes too. You want to talk about tomatoes, TC? Would that be more interesting for you?
I had some
You like
sun-dried tomatoes last night. They're great.
I don't like
Nice.
sun-dried tomatoes.
What the hell's wrong with you, John? Get out of here.
Sun-dried tomatoes like chewing on a rag. I don't like sun-dried tomatoes.
A delicious rag.
No, tomatoes. I will take a tomato sauce, and then otherwise, fuck tomatoes and a salsa.
All right.
They got to be like crushed and put in a sauce, and then I'm okay. But don't like tomatoes otherwise.
You are
I
from
think
New Mexico.
Denethor would make would disagree.
That is fine. That is okay.
That's a Tex-Mex opinion there, John. That is a
Denethor,
wrong
I know
opinion.
Denethor is really, really enjoying those tomatoes. I know. Well, and everybody. Well, my wife and daughter would completely agree with you guys. They're big tomato fans. So more for you guys.
Don't ever go to Italy, John. You'd be very, very disappointed.
Oh, yeah, just tomatoes everywhere.
It's
have a
all
tomato.
tomatoes. Yeah.
No, I don't want a tomato. No, have a tomato.
You have a caprese salad for a starter, and then you have a tomato sauce, and then probably a dessert with a tomato in it. Who the fuck knows? They got a lot of tomatoes over there.
Tomato
Fucking
cheesecake.
I'd try that.
Ugh.
I'd try it. You tried, TC.
Gross.
Come on. Give it a
I'm
shot.
not trying that.
Just a little.
Bunch of
little
cherry
taste.
tomatoes, right? Just actually, it's a cheesecake, and there's just cherry tomatoes in it, just stuck in there.
Just no.
I tried that too. Sounds not bad.
Maybe a little sprig of basil on it.
Sure.
All right.
Other scenes in this movie. I thought the Ride of the Rohirrim scene when they finally get to the plane, whatever the plains battle is.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Theoden's speech is one. I think it's the best speech in one of those war movies I've ever seen, because what it has different than like Braveheart or Gladiator or any of those, like, I'm going to do a speech in front of a large line of people sort of thing, is a feeling of not having a lot of time to do it. Like they're in a rush. Like they get there and then he rides down and he gives all the commanders their lines and he just keeps riding and he has a short little speech and he's just like, and then he just says like ride on or whatever and screams and then goes.
Right.
It's great how they do it. That's one of the best scenes in the movie, I think, because of how it's acted and because of how it's put together. It just seems like it's not done in a Hollywood way that's obvious and annoying, but it is done in a Hollywood way for obvious reasons, but it just seems urgent and it's awesome.
Right. And it's a mix up of a number of speeches that are given in the book. The book has some really good speech. It's not just Theoden. I think Faramir gives a speech. I think it's a mismatch of some of the other speeches that are given for different charges. But I also love that speech where I forget how is he saying it, but it's charge into battle, but we're going to die speech. So it's like ride for.
That's at the very end, right?
Right.
And they're like charging the gates.
Yeah. But the idea is like he's inspiring his men while saying this is it. We're hopeless here. This is not going to. We're not going to. I'm not rallying you to go win the day. This isn't
like we know we're all going down. Especially the first few lines.
This isn't a once more into the breach sort of thing. This is more like we're all going to die, and I'm going to still give an inspiring speech. And it's actually pretty cool. And I I can take myself out of it and laugh because I always like to think of, and maybe was it Life of Brian where they were doing this, where Jesus like doing on the Sermon on the Mount, and people are way in the back going, "What's he saying? I can't hear him."
Yeah.
I was thinking of like these thousands and thousands of lines of horses, and you're just some guys going, "What's he? What?
Was that-
What?
sorry,
He's
what was
what?
that?
Sounds inspirational as fuck, though. I can't hear what he's saying.
What
but-
did he say?
Did he say
What did
we're riding to death? Did he say he didn't say death, did he? No, he said death for them or death for us. I want to know. Excuse me.
I don't know what I'm getting myself into before I start running.
Yeah, I don't know. You're way over there, and I can't hear you, and I'm way in the back here. Hello.
It's kind of true, though. I mean, yeah, you don't really think about it like that.
As you shouldn't.
There's probably
It's gonna
like
ruin the movie for
thousands
you.
of rows of them, right? I mean, when you look at
no
them,
shit.
I'm watching them ride in right now.
Plus, you
there's
have all
the-
this like hubbub in front of you with like fucking
yeah.
trebuchets and things exploding. Like that's got to be pretty damn loud too, even
Yeah.
though you're kind of far away.
heads up, arrows coming, right?
That's right.
Okay, would have loved to know that before we started moving.
Yeah. What do you say? Thunk, 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 thunk.
Yeah. Arrows. They're
Oh, arrows.
Arrows. Oh,
Okay.
great.
I'll be all right.
Oh, it's too bad Monty Python are all way too old to do a parody of this shit. That'd be pretty good. I guess all their stuff was kind of already a parody of
Yeah.
this. Yeah. There was one part in the movie, I think it's one of my favorite parts of the trilogy was when Pippin is like being afraid about going into battle, and he's just like, I forget what he says exactly, but it's like, I didn't think it would end this way, is what he says. And then Gandalf goes on to say something about the afterlife and things like that. And just like Gandalf's acting in that scene is the best he's done in the movie.
Oh yeah. He's like Morgan Freemaning it, where it's like, this is just really sweet. Like this is like just, he's doing like the most well done, reassuring time of despair talk that, you know, he's just like hitting it perfectly.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's a part where like he's describing what he sees about like shores beyond, like as far as you could see with like a sunrise, and the way he's like looking off into the distance past Pippin, like you can see his acting. He's like imagining it as if like, you know, he's selling it as if it's real to Pippin and us. It's just awesome.
And giving him inspiration, right?
Right.
Yeah, helping him through this really dark time. And
Yeah.
it's pretty neat.
It is pretty great.
Again, the books have lots of really good moments like that too, in terms of how they're managing their despair, and the movie's capturing bits of it, but it's there's a lot of that in the books as well too. And it's really well done.
Yeah. Eowyn has a couple good lines in this movie too. I'll even give it to her there. I shat a lot on her in the beginning of this ep and the last ep, but there's the one scene where she has Mary and her horse, and they're about to ride in. It's during the same scene where Theoden gives the speech, and she's just like, what is she, something about like bravery, like bravery for our friends, bravery for our friends. The way she delivers that is like, it's pretty good.
He does it well.
Trying to add some positivity to this podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no,
This
so
movie is incredible.
It plays out differently in the books for her in that her father doesn't know she's there. So the movie, they decided to let him see her and recognize her.
And it's Mary that they don't know is there in the movie. Was that also the way it was in the book?
No, he was there. That wasn't.
Or was
like,
he hidden like she was?
He would no. He wasn't hidden, but he didn't know she was Eowyn. She had disguised herself, and Mary didn't even know. That
and this random dude was just like, "Stick with me, little buddy," and he's like, "Okay."
No, I don't think he thought he knew the guy. The guy she was going under a different name that he thought. So he thought he knew this guy.
So she did it frequently.
Yeah, I think so. I know. I am so fuzzy headed right now. So, but anyway,
I believe you, John. There's no one to contest it. Might as well be right.
Right. Well, that's fine. But anyway, so it sort of happens in the same sequence. Again, the speech is better. The "I am no man" line is in there, but it's more eloquently delivered with a bunch of some other things. So it works out. Kind of felt this was a little bit too like, oh yeah, here's the line. Oh,
Definitely felt like that.
Yeah. So I kind of didn't like how that happened, but it was more, that line was more embedded in a longer speech that she gives in the book during that scene, and I think it's delivered really well, or it just fits a lot better. And then, but it sort of happens. She kills the commander, the head
Lich King.
Nazgul guy. And then she falls, and they think she's dead too. And the king fails and just says, "Remember to me to Eowyn." It's some of his last words, not knowing that she's lying there right by him. And that's how he dies in the book. And then she's like revived later, and then she's healing right by Faramir, and they fall in love. And so they end up getting married.
That's nice. She got over Aragon. That's good.
It's done really well. But again, it's also like in the books, there's like 200 or 300 pages after the ring is destroyed, where there's a lot of different wrapping up. And then there's this whole other thing that happens when the hobbits go back to the Shire. And the Shire is now, it could be a whole short story all of itself, because now it's being run by this jerk hobbit that's also in turn being manipulated by Saruman, as a kind of, they're like a bunch of gangsters basically, like running, like tearing the Shire's all messed up, all the inns are closed, people aren't allowed to drink, and they have to go and fight. It would have made for some cool scenes, because Pippin and Merry and Sam.
Is Frodo still around during these scenes? Or has he left?
And they're all badasses now, because they're like these hobbits coming in with all this armor and shit, and so they're coming in and they just go and clean up the place, because now they've got all this battle experience that these other hobbits don't have. They just don't expect the hobbits to stand up like this, and then they rally all the other hobbits. It made for. Yeah, it would have been. There's some really cool.
I don't think TC would have liked that. Sounds at least another half an hour in there.
Oh God, no. It's its own. Yeah, it's its own. Like, again, it's its own little novella almost. Like that whole sequence. It seems like, and it's coming right at the end before Frodo leaves. So I can see why there's a lot of wrapping up in the movie too, where there's a lot of stuff that they're just going to leave out. I think there's a lot of lingering shots, where if you start noticing it and start to feel annoyed by it, you're like, okay, I get it. We're looking at him and he's smiling. Okay, I got it.
Now he's crying. Oh, look at that.
He's
Three of them are crying. One of them's looking sad.
Smiling and he's crying. Now the other one's smiling. Now that guy's got it. We got to see that guy smile. Okay. Anyway, just kind of.
I go back and forth on the last part, because it is really drawn out. There's a lot of facial close-ups, a lot of.
But look, we're wrapping up.
But
I mean, they're wrapping up.
But every time I watch it, I'm like, I go back and forth being like, all right, that was too long. I'm annoyed by this scene. And then I think that I am going to be annoyed by it. And then like this time I watch it again. I'm like, I like it this time, because I thought I was going to be annoyed by it. And I kind of like it, because it's like you want to stay with the characters, and it feels like everyone kind of doesn't want to like move on is the feeling, right? And it's lingering because no one wants to go forward. Because it's like the end of their story. It's the end of like
Except
knowing
for
some
me,
of these people
who wants to go to bed.
Right.
Yeah. And me, who's just like, great, they go home. Who cares? Right. Just like for them.
Yeah.
Although I will say, when when they went back to the Shire and they looked like badasses, I thought that was kind of nice. It gave them their like fuck you moment, which I'm always a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been even better in that part, because they're coming in with the swords and they've got the Gondor shields and helmets in there. And they basically, like, there's 2 or 3 scenes in the book there where they just, the people that think they can just be bullies come up to the hobbits and they just scare the shit out of them just by standing up to them different. And like showing their swords and going, no, you guys need to go. We're going to kill you. And they're like, okay, sorry.
That would have been great. I would love that.
That's totally different, because this movie, I like the way this movie does. They kind of go back to town. Nobody knows what they did. Nobody cares.
Right.
Yeah. They kind of just sit down at the bar.
The old guy's just like, whatever, dude.
They sit at the bar and
you guys are
nobody
back.
knows.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's fair.
But at the same time, it
fun.
still matters, because Sam, gets the courage to be with Rosie, which is kind of what he always wanted, and like this helped him get there. So it's more like a smaller bit of change.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, and again, they just don't have time to do this. That would have been a whole other thing. Anyway.
4 movies. Come on, it should have been 4.
No.
Right. The Return of the King. The 4th movie's Return to the Shire.
And it's just like a fun movie. Everything's positive.
It could be.
4 hours in the Shire sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, because the Shire's in fucking shambles. Like
until
the
they
whole
fix
thing,
it.
The whole thing is a mess, and so it'd be kind of sad in a way, But it is. You could have made not a whole other movie. Well, Peter, I guess, could have. They made like 3 out of The Hobbit, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Wouldn't have been good. What else in this movie? What else is good before we get to trivia? We're just going to do a review one first. John, you got anything else on Book Corner over here?
Hard to say. I just sort of like powered through the book. The spider scene in the book is awesome. It is a great action sequence in the book, and it's really well done, and terrifying. So the movie does a good job of it, but the book also really does a great job of how the spider's thinking. Like you get a little bit, you get to have like some of the spider's perspective,
spidery perspective. TC,
yeah,
that sounds. At least you might be able to sympathize with your little 8-legged friends there, TC. If you got just a little perspective.
Yeah,
but
not in a sympathetic way at all. But it's just kind of it's
what
very
do
well
spiders
done.
think like? Is it just like food?
No, it's about what she's expecting, right? In terms of her prey and what she thinks in
this
response
asshole
to the things that are happening.
Scare that guy.
Did they talk about why she didn't eat Gollum? Was it because you looked all sickly and stuff? Was that discussed?
Yeah. That it was discussed, and it was more that she knew that he brought her food. That she was pretty smart. Like she was almost like a sort of a god. Like she
why
was
did Gollum
not just
bring her
a spider,
food?
but she was. Well, they all knew her, and this was a common thing. Like the orcs would bring her things too.
Why?
So to feed her.
Why?
It's a great way to get rid of bodies. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Why did Gollum
but-
have to get rid of bodies? Didn't he just live in a hole in the ground for 100 years?
But I don't know what she would give him in exchange. So that's fair. But
Fish?
Yeah, maybe.
Supposed to have these answers, John. Supposed to have
Fuzzy
the
details,
answers.
man. Fuzzy details. All I got. Just a blur. Telling you.
I expected to learn something. I'm getting nothing.
I'll pull up the notes, see if I can pull up some notes.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to the paper notes.
Oh, my God. You asking this of me.
But they kill, I assume that Samwise kills Shelob in the book, too. That's got to be a
No,
big
it
enough.
still works out. It still pretty much works out that way, and that he thinks
that
dead.
Frodo's dead, so he takes the ring, and that's the reason why the orcs don't get the ring, etc.
Yeah. That whole sequence is, again, pretty much nailed.
Nice. We haven't talked about them climbing up Mount Doom yet. That's a pretty great little set they got there. Just a hole in the side of a volcano with a little platform you can walk into. They kind of showed a little bit in the Fellowship of the Ring during the intro prologue, but it's cool. They had a whole scene there. That was pretty intense.
Oh, one whole scene that's like left out of the books too is when they go to the Black Gate, Sauron sends out a lieutenant.
The Mouth of Sauron.
Yeah.
It's in the extended cut.
Yeah, is it?
It's pretty awesome.
It would have been awesome because there's some really cool back and forth going on where the Mouth of Sauron's coming there. He has the mithril coat, and basically in the book he's like saying, "Look, we can give you back Frodo, but here's what you're going to do: you're going to surrender." And they have to struggle with the despair of thinking, "Oh shit, they've caught Frodo. We're fucked now for sure." And then Gandalf still stands up to him and says, "Fuck you." And it is a really cool scene in the book where they're like struggling with sort of despair, but deciding that they're just going to fight on. They're not going to surrender. And that was pretty damn cool. But yeah, in the extended scene, in the extended cut, it's all there.
I don't know if it's all there, but it's a pretty long scene, and they had to cut it because of the length. But it's one of the coolest character designs they put together in the whole series. The Mouth of Sauron is they designed. I forget which of the two artists, Alan Lee or John, what's his name, put together, but it's like this guy with this giant helmet, and he's in the Mouth of Sauron, so he doesn't have any eyes. So the helmet goes all the way to the top of his mouth, and his mouth is fucking huge with these giant teeth. And it's pretty freaky looking. And the way he talks, it was done by somebody famous. The guy who rides, the Mad Max, there's that guy that has the helicopter bicycle thing. That really skinny Australian looking guy. Mm-hmm. He's the actor who plays the Mouth of Sauron. They get that guy. And he's still pretty skinny and sounds kind of weird, just like in the Mad Max movie, so it works out pretty good. He has a pretty large mouth as it is, and they got the footage and they're like, it's not freaky enough, so then they CG'd his mouth to be like 120% of what it normally is.
Oh,
so it's just like a little bit bigger, and when he talks, it looks really weird, and it's pretty unsettling.
Yeah,
it's a good scene.
It's pretty scary.
It's one of the top scenes. It's tough because like Some of the scenes in the extended cuts are so good, and you wish they were in there.
But they're long.
But they're long, and the pacing is still not perfect, even with them cut. Like it's still kind of long.
Huh.
I think a lot of the battle scene in this movie could have been cut. As cool as it all looks, it's kind of like instead, yeah. It looks cool, but it's also tough because the Saruman scene at the beginning is really good too. But you start the movie off with 15 minutes of talking. That's not really what you want either.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
but yeah. It's tough.
It's really hard because it's the way the books are structured. It makes it kind of impossible. It's like a giant puzzle where there's no good. I mean, I think it's good, but there's no like perfect solution to it.
Especially not before you've shot, the movie.
Right.
Yeah. In hindsight, maybe. But yeah, like when you're going linear, I don't know. That'd be tough. Like you have all these scenes and they're like, what, like, do you think just people sit around and they'll like vote on it? Like, I mean, because you could probably make a few different stories out of it all. So
it's just Peter and his editor. That's it.
It's kind of crazy.
Two people make all the editing decisions. We don't have to get too far into trivia, but Peter did not see the final version of this movie until its premiere.
Wow.
He didn't see it.
Well, it was right because it was so close.
Because it was
like
so close, and they were still editing. Like they gave the final reel a couple days before, and then they still needed to sync all the orchestra, like all the audio up, like just
Jesus
the video.
Christ.
They delivered it like a couple days before. He was editing to the end. The orchestra was working to the end. All the miniature people and special effects people working to the end. People were working afterwards. Like it didn't end. It was.
I'm sorry, but that just doesn't seem like a good time to me. I don't know.
No, people, it's funny because in the special features, everyone seemed so positive, and they were positive throughout the special features. But in the special features for this one, there was a 5-minute portion about the negative effects this series had on people, which isn't talked about anywhere else. It was kind of surprising because everyone's like, it was magical, best experience of my life. I got to do the best work of my life. Everyone was so positive, so many talented people, et cetera, et cetera. But then there was this one portion where it's like, yeah, bad things happened. Families broke up. People got sick. People got fired. Like there was all this other stuff that we're not talking about because we choose not to think about it. We choose not to dwell on the negative stuff.
Because otherwise Hollywood wouldn't exist, and then we wouldn't have jobs. And if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to do what we love, which is like sometimes make some good shit.
This isn't Hollywood. They talked a lot about how this would never happen in Hollywood either. This kickstarted the New Zealand.
because they're all out
industry.
in New Zealand,
right.
and where nothing matters and there's no rules.
Right. Yes. And Peter was just like, we're the best because we're in New Zealand. It's like, yeah, if you like working 18-hour days, I guess 7 days a week.
Fuck
that sucks.
that, dude. Not for the amount of money they're paying.
Right. Who do you think got all the money for these movies? Fucking Peter Jackson, all the producers.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. It's kind of fucked up.
It is. But man, this was at the beginning before they knew any better, and they were all super passionate about it. So it's never going to happen like this again.
No.
That's for sure. They've created their own little Hollywood out there. But yeah, one of the guys was talking about, he's like, yeah, best experience of my life. But I left my 4-month-old kid, and now he's 4.5. So I missed all of that, which sucks. And like, Jesus Christ, dude. And that happened with a lot of people. People like literally stayed on the project. Their family, like their wife divorced them and their family left them. And then when they were done with the movie, they didn't have a family anymore. Like it happened to people in this movie.
God damn.
So it was a huge commitment by everybody involved. And those with more to lose lost it sometimes. So
it's
not
probably
all like
probably
sunshine and roses.
we don't know the other side of that. I mean, who knows? That guy could be a total dick.
It sounded like it was,
he was just looking for a reason to get out.
It wasn't
anyway.
just the movie, dude.
I love my kid, but I got this movie project, and
there was. I think it's a whole lot of everything. Like there was definitely the dick guy who just had an excuse to get divorced, but I think there was probably a nice guy that wasn't there for his family because there were thousands of people on this movie.
I don't know.
Everybody worked so hard on it.
If you're a nice guy, you go home.
Right. If you're a nice guy, you quit and you go home. You're like, this isn't for me.
This is right. So if you're a dick and you don't give a shit, then you stay.
It depends what you give a shit about. Making models?
Right. That's what I mean.
Or your human
So what
family.
are your priorities? What are your priorities?
Do you like toys or do you like humans? Your choice.
Right.
Well, or all the money that you're making too, but still, again, that you
But
can
even
give
still,
your
it's
family.
not enough because once the money comes rolling in after, they don't get any of that. So what the fuck, right?
But you get Oscars and you probably get pretty easy work from then on. You're on the team.
Oh, yeah. At the
You're
parties
on the
in town, you're the coolest dude, right? You know, you get a little bit of a win there for like, a year. And then everyone forgets about you.
Wet is still
And
making
then
shit tons of money.
Amelia Perez gets made for some reason,
Yeah. But Wet is still around. So if you were a part of the winning Weta team, They're still getting Oscars. They still are like one of the best special effects companies.
They got sold off.
That's
though.
awesome.
They're like, I don't know. Are they still actively? They were sold to Microsoft, I think. No. They were sold to Unity.
There you go. Huge payday, TC. You got to hang on there. Lose your family. Hang on until the buyout. That's
And
the
then you
ticket
get
right
the huge
there.
payday, and then you can't even enjoy it because there's no one to enjoy it with. You're just in a home, you're in a house.
But that's
by
when you get a
yourself,
young family. You start
right.
over again, get yourself a young
Oh,
wife.
right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's a good point. It's a
Yeah.
good point. It's never over till
I've
it's
seen it
over.
before.
Right.
It's possible.
That's right. That's right.
And New Line is gone too. It's bought by Warner Brothers, I think.
Yeah, you said that article that the Golden Compass sunk New Line.
Yeah, isn't that fucked up?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like New Line, we talked about not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Huge swing, spent a lot of all their money for a success, got a success, continued being a company. Same with this movie, huge budget, like $300 million budget. They started off at 250, went up to 300. Huge swing, all of their money needed to be a success, was a huge success.
Yeah.
You think making $3 billion on a $300 million
Right, you think
movie
they'd
would
be
let you
good?
coast through a bad movie, right? Like a non-profitable movie. You'd think so.
Yeah, I don't understand the detail unless they were just not balancing they didn't care. They were
probably
just
didn't,
like
yeah, they
paying
took all the
themselves a
money
whole lot
out.
of money.
They were like, let us
Like-
remove all the money from the company so we can be rich, and then
Right.
roll the dice again, and oops, we're bankrupt, and we don't have to pay our taxes
But
this year.
I guess I'll
Right.
spend more time on my yacht now.
Yeah.
So I
feel
but
sorry
It
for
was a
myself.
good run. Yeah.
Oh man, I failed once. My boat is not as big as it could be. Shit.
Or yeah, it's just fine actually because you're the one that took all the money. So and maybe somehow you even get off better.
And plus, you can fail at things when you're that high up and rich, and just find another company to let you give it
Right.
another
Yep.
go.
To
Which
fail
maybe a
it
lot of
all-
these people
fail
did.
again all over.
Yeah,
I know.
right. It
It's-
wouldn't be surprising if there's all those executives just went and did or working in some other company, or maybe they wanted to. It's like we're looking for an excuse, like, all right, now I'm going to run this my way, and they're all going to split off or whatever. So, one of the difference of the book too is the Army of the Dead did not go and take back the city either. The Army of the Dead only helped them get the boats, like kill it. They basically drove everybody mad on the boats that were going to be like another reinforcement set from Sauron. So when they show up, it's not the Army of the Dead isn't on the boats. It's Aragon and all of his peeps there. I forget, but whoever it would be, but
The Rohirrim.
the Rohirrim, yes,
All the people
horse
waiting by the crack in the wall next
Yep.
to the tombs. Did they just happen to park themselves next to the tombs, or did Aragon lead them to park themselves there to prepare for battle at the tombs? Because he knew he wanted to go meet the dead guys and fulfill their oath.
He didn't see me, but Elrond came and just told him about it. And he's like, "Oh, I could do that. Okay, let's go do that. Bye."
Oh yeah, so they're like, "Oh, it's right there. It's like right behind
Yeah.
where we're staying." Right
He's like, "I can
through
go that
there?"
way."
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to go do that, and I'm not going to tell anybody what I'm doing, so other people can have a moment of despair and doubt. I'll
Yeah.
be going. Bye.
But I'll be back with Skeleton Army. They'll be
I'll
pretty
be back
happy
with a
about
skeleton
that.
army. It'll be pretty cool. Might look a little animated, but you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be good.
It's not animated, John. It's just guys in sheets with makeup with white.
Oh, was it?
transparent.
Was it practical?
A lot of it was like the close-up shots were all practical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
But a lot of like the wide shots of them just swooping through and just murdering people in a random way. That's pretty
Yeah.
CG.
I
1,400
know.
shots, special effect shots.
I know, and I think
Insane.
it is, and maybe
It's
I-
twice as
I-
much as the second one, which is already
I
200
know.
more than the first
I
one.
think
Like,
I
that's-
would have
it's
liked
fucking
them. I
insane.
would have liked them to focus on the characters more, and I think there's so much interesting things going on in the characters more. Like you're even saying, like is maybe they could have cut down on some of the battle scenes, even though those are spectacular, admittedly. But it again, like like Denethor, like has this great like I don't know. I was just looking at one of his speeches where he's like, "Pride and despair. Didst thou think that the eyes of the White Tower were blind? I've seen more than thou knowest, grateful, for thy hope is but ignorance. Go then and labor and healing. Go forth and fight. That's vanity." I love it. It's just he has this great speech.
It's
about
poetry.
But also he just has this great speech about being just dealing with his despair and saying, "Look, I'm going to kill myself and my kin right now because otherwise we're going to be slaves or tortured. So fuck you." But also, I mean, the other part of it is that like the king is coming to replace him. Like he knows that Aragorn's coming, and that also then would usurp him in his mind.
Usurp.
It's usurp. Syrup.
John
It was
only
syrup.
reads and doesn't communicate with other people. He just has
Yeah.
wrong pronunciations of words in his head for decades.
Yes. Did I tell you? I think I told you my favorite one of those where I really got laughed at was, oh shit. Oh, I said macabre.
Macabre?
The
What?
macabre.
How do you have that? How does that happen?
Haven't you
Just
seen
read
the
it too
spelling
fast.
of macabre?
But is that what,
The spelling-
but are you reading it out loud, or do
there's
you think that's how it's said?
There's an R in macabre.
Macabre.
Yeah.
That's sad.
So yeah, it's macabre. He's just really MACABRE. That's macabre.
Macabre. I bet. All right.
So yes, I got a big laugh out of that one. We're like, what? That's the word.
Yeah. So I think in terms of the review of the movie, that's all the scenes I had to bring up.
We've got.
We'll talk a lot more about the movie again through trivia because there's quite a bit, same as the other times. We're going to split that off into episode 2. It's going to be long or short. We don't know. It depends how long TC and John. TC can tolerate it and how long John can stay awake. That's basically
That's right.
what we're
That's
going to do.
how we roll. That's
Yeah.
basically what we got to work with.
I'll try to eat a banana beforehand so I have the energy to speed talk for an hour straight.
I need to.
good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself a beer or something for that episode. I can
Yeah.
just sit there and get tuned up.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, we'll
All
do
right,
next
guys.
trivia up next.
I'll see you next week.
All right. See you next week.